Hey now, good day and welcome to Growing Your Successful Business. Thanks for listening. This is a podcast where you get to learn from the experience of the other entrepreneurs and critical industry experts. Just a reminder for those of you watching on Facebook, this will be our last time publishing our episode on Facebook. Starting next week, we will only be available on podcast outlets like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, Breaker, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole bunch of those out there. But it's going to be an audio-only format starting next week. Don't be afraid to subscribe to that, share, review, rate, all that good stuff that goes along with those podcast deals. I want to take a quick moment here and just say thanks again to BD Local and especially Sadie for helping me get off the ground with this. Sadie's been an absolute blessing to work with. If you're interested in doing a podcast of your own, I would definitely recommend reaching out to these folks. They've been super helpful to me, and I'm going to miss working with them. For a variety of reasons, going to an audio-only format works better for me, and so that's why I'm making that change. You can find my information at growingyoursuccessfulbusiness.com or brianlharding.com. You'll find the links to all the different podcasting outlets I mentioned there. You can also find, or you can also email me at brian@brianlharding.com if you have any questions or suggestions for the show or kind of guests you would like to have on or questions you would like to hear me start asking folks as they come on. Today we're very fortunate. We've got Dave Parkhurst here. Dave has owned about 9 businesses, and I'll read his bio here real quick. As a geek addicted to Star Trek in the 1970s, who studied computer science in high school and college in the 1980s, Dave started selling computers in 1984 in Tacoma. After working with local computer stores, Dave focused on selling and managing sales teams for Apple Computer from 1991 to 2005. And along the way, Dave bought or started several computer companies, including Greenhaven Interactive, which is where he's at now. And currently, Dave owns only 2 companies, only 2, plus some rental real estate, and lives on a family farm in Graham. And Greenhaven Interactive is who Dave is here representing today. Greenhaven Interactive started in 1994 as one of the first digital marketing companies in the Northwest. From building websites in the early 1990s with a staff of 2 to the current team of 14 experts in all aspects of digital marketing, Greenhaven helps organizations succeed with websites, social media, search engine optimization, and advertising and reputation management, just to mention a few. Greenhaven's unique approach to high-tech, high-touch personalized service makes them stand out in the high-tech Northwest. They have a very cool tagline, too, which is, "You're amazing, and we want the world to know it." I think that's a fantastic tagline. So welcome, Dave. You can find them at greenhaveninteractive.com, or you can reach Dave at 253-906-2705. And so you've owned altogether, we were counting before we started recording here, 9 businesses. Is that right?
9 businesses.
And they run the gamut from IT to storage and all kinds of stuff, right?
Dry cleaning, flooring. I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. I'm trying to work on that addiction.
Yeah, so for those of you listening, this should be a good chance for you to get some insight from a guy who's had a bunch of different businesses, and they've started in different ways. He's purchased some. He started some from scratch. They've ended in different ways.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
We'll talk about that a little bit as well. So as I mentioned, you started some from scratch, and you've purchased others. Do you have a preference on how you get started?
Well, I actually like to create it from scratch, honestly, Brian, because then you have control over all the aspects, for better or for worse. You have control over all the aspects of the business. I had thought that it would probably be better to buy some and experimented with that for a while, and that was okay. But I think preferentially I would rather start it from scratch.
Yeah, I often consider what it would be like to purchase a business, even in a similar industry to what I've been accustomed to in my career. And I wonder just culturally how you would make that adaptation into what your vision is versus what they've known for 15 years or 6 years or whatever. That's got to be a massive challenge to overcome that.
That was really the hardest part of each one of the businesses that I purchased over the years is because you always inherit employees, because a business is essentially it's employees. I mean, you can buy a building, you can buy inventory and assets and this type of thing, but really what you're buying is a team.
Right.
And you try to do the interviews and things to understand whether that team is going to mesh with your vision or not. But it's been a hard lesson to learn that sometimes the history behind that takes a long time to get caught up with.
Right, and it's funny you mentioned that. one of the things I preach all the time to folks, whether they want to hear it or not, usually probably not, but you know, and you and I were talking about this just a few minutes ago before we started recording here. People, when they have businesses, start businesses, buy businesses, they focus on their widget,
Right.
and they don't understand that the team is the business.
Absolutely.
Nothing else matters if you don't have that part hammered out.
Exactly.
And I for folks listening, I would implore you to really take note of that, and you know, focus way more on your personnel and those relationships than you focus on your widget.
Absolutely. Your team will make or break you, you know, especially if you're a control person who has some knowledge about something. You go into business to do that thing you know about.
Right.
But then you can't do it all as a business owner. You know,
Right.
as a business owner, you
Right.
can't do it all. So you have to be able to trust people, empower people,
Yeah.
and realize that you're not going to do everything.
It's funny, and this is way off topic from what you and I prepared for, but I just wanted to throw this out there. It's funny, people who start their own businesses oftentimes like to be in charge.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
The reality of running a business, though, is you are the least in charge. Your
Exactly.
customers are in charge, and your employees are in charge. You need your customers way more than they need you,
Absolutely.
and you need your employees way more than they need you.
Yep.
So people who want to be in charge start a business, and then they end up ultimately not being in charge of anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, people tell me, they probably tell you, oh, you own your own business. You can do what you want. I said, no. I have 150 bosses.
Right.
I just don't have one anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. So for those of you listening who may want to start a business, I would really take the time to consider that. I mean, of course, you're going to make decisions. You're gonna put out ideas and philosophies and procedures and things like that. But you are not in charge.
Right. Exactly. Exactly right. The myth of the business owner. Right.
Right. So you know.